and welcome to the Business Advocate Podcast. My name is Russell Carrier. I'm the owner of First Choice Business Brokers of East Tennessee in Nashville. And today we have a great guest, and we're going to be talking about something that affects everybody, every business owner, every individual, actually. And you need to listen to this episode. We're going to be talking about cyber security. You may laugh this off, but you shouldn't. And so the person we have on today is Adam Bell. He's the president of Sublime Computer Services. Welcome to the show, Adam.
Thanks for having me, Russell. How are you doing today?
I am doing awesome. I'm really excited for this episode.
Cool.
So
Well,
did I get everything right on your introduction? Anything you want to add at this point?
yeah, no, that's all. It's everything you said was correct.
So let everybody, how long have you been doing this?
So I've been doing IT work professionally since 2000. Well, actually 98. I spent a year and a half doing CAD drafting straight out of college, but then I've been doing IT support since then. So
Very good. So you have a little bit of experience.
yeah, this is my only career. I've not, been a car salesman and decided, hey, I should go into IT.
Awesome. So cybersecurity, it's a very big topic.
It is.
And it's all over the place and everybody's talking about it. And what I want to dive into is mostly small business,
hmm
right? So, from your perspective, where do you start?
Well, so first thing is you need to fix your mindset as a small business. A lot of the small business owners that I encounter, they say, "Well, I'm too small. Hackers aren't even interested in me." That's not true because they know that a small business owner's security is lax. They have lines of credit, they have employees, even if it's just one or two. If they can just leverage that one way or another, they can make, $3,000 or $4,000 off of just getting credentials and signing up for a credit card and making some online purchases and getting away with it before it gets canceled. It doesn't seem like much, but that's like 15 minutes worth of work for $4,000.
Absolutely. Quick story. When you say small business owners don't think they're a target, in our industry, we deal with a lot of wire transactions
hmm
for closings. And we had a broker that didn't know that their system was compromised.
hmm
And the hackers were monitoring their system.
Exactly.
And they saw an email come over that had wire instructions on it.
hmm
They knew who the client was because of the email. They redirected the wire instructions to the client of where they should deposit the final funding for the
hmm
deal. This was $990,000. Okay. It got wired to the hackers, not to the title company.
hmm
This is a true story. This is not fabricated. This is not made up.
hmm
At this point, yes, you file claims, you file insurance and everything else. But the point is, yes, even as a small business owner, you may not know it. You could be being tracked today.
hmm
They're monitoring what you're doing and they're waiting for their opportunities.
hmm
So let's dive into, what do I do?
Yeah. Well, that exact scenario, we had one of those with one of my clients yesterday. And I was thinking it was a big number. It was 127,000. That's 900 is even bigger. And it was the same thing. Somebody, and the good thing is, from my standpoint, I was able to prove to my clients, one, you haven't been hacked, your computer hasn't been hacked, your email hasn't been hacked, the other end has been, because we had the tools in place to show all that, which is, from a liability standpoint, is a big deal, because a lot of times in those things that somebody wants to lay blame and somebody wants somebody else's insurance to cover it, not their insurance. Even if they can get away with it, they're going to say, well, there's an element of doubt. Could be you, could be me. We have to split it.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's actually a great point. I mean, we all have insurance, but you actually can back it up
Yeah,
if they're protected, right?
if they're
If
protected.
somebody is using a service like yours, or they're implementing the tools necessary
Mm-hmm.
to protect themselves.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the tools.
Mm-hmm.
What should the business owner have?
Well, and some of them, they don't even have to have special tools to do it. The number one thing, and I know everybody hears multi-factor authentication, like, I don't need it, I don't want it, it's a hassle. But you don't have to install special software to have multi-factor authentication in place. The example of your wire transfer, you have to have a procedure in place. If you are transferring money between you and another person, and you get new wiring instructions, then your procedure is, I need to call and confirm. And the person that I'm calling, I need to know that I know them. Not just, I mean, if I'd called you and never spoken to you before, you could say whoever you wanted to be, and I don't know it. So having procedures in place, none of those things cost anything to the small business owner. Having a procedure makes sure wire transfers are going to the right person and they really requested the change. The other part is the multi-factor authentication. When you log in, you enter in a username and password. It shouldn't be it shouldn't be the same password that you use anywhere else. That's another one. Is, if you find somebody's password, if you do compromise somebody, then all their other passwords, and I'm just going to start trying their bank accounts, their, everywhere else, their website, see if I can get in with that same password. But the multi-factor authentication is another level of authentication, whether it's an app on your phone that comes from the provider, like Microsoft, they have their own authentication app. Google has their own authentication app. Or you can do text message. Now, their text message is better than nothing, but it's better to use an authentication app, because there are ways that you can spoof text messaging now, authentication. So you don't want to, if you're using text message, move away from that and go to an app with a rotating code that you can use. So somebody in China, they have your username, they have your password. I mean, they've got everything correct. They log in. Well, they don't have that authentication code that's running on the app. You got to read the 6-digit code that's on the app and put it out there. With Microsoft's, their new authenticator is, it pops up and then your phone pops up and says, hey, is this really you, Adam? And it says, enter the 2 numbers on the screen, 12, and I'll enter 1, 2, and it's a rotating number and it's authenticated and it's in. People say, well, it takes too long. It took me probably 30 seconds to describe it. It'll take you 3 seconds to look at your phone and press a button.
It takes too long.
Yeah.
These little excuses for not doing it is kind of laughable. I mean, yes, as annoying, yes, but take too long? No.
No.
So I've got this little USB touch drive.
Okay.
How is that for security?
Are you talking about like a key, or
Yeah.
or like a YubiKey?
Yep.
So those are good when you don't have an authentication app, or if you don't want to use it, because it does confirm it's really you. Now, it's not ideal. It's not ideal if you're in an office with a whole bunch of other people, because unless it's doing your fingerprint, if somebody hops on your computer, all they have to do is press the button to confirm it's really you on your computer. So it's a nice stopgap, and we use those for say a shared desk. say you're in a warehouse or you're a sales desk and you're at this kiosk and you want to ensure that it's really one of your employees doing the work. So you'll have that key and they'll enter the email and then they press the key on it. So it's really their work computer. It's not perfect, but at that same desk you limit their ability to get to things. So what they have access to is very limited.
Okay.
Mhm.
Makes sense. And
Yeah.
it's not very convenient if you're mobile.
No. Yeah.
Okay. So,
So
uh, go ahead.
so multi-factor, the other part which does require some sort of software is a password manager, because passwords, you I can't remember. I don't even know how many passwords I have. I think I've got hundreds in my password manager if I go look at it. And there's no way to remember all those passwords. If you have a password manager, you got to know the password to get into the password manager. And then other than that, it can make random passwords. It'll automatically fill in the fields for you. It automatically record the fields for you. And the website URLs. It also helps in security, because sometimes, I'll get an email and I don't know, is this really, of course I know, but for the example, I don't know that this is really from Regions Bank. Well, let me go to my authentication, my password manager, and let me go to Regions Bank through that portal, because I know that that's a good address. I know it's got all my credentials and proper, and you go through that way rather than this email that you receive that you're not sure if it's Regions Bank. If it feels sketchy, better safe than sorry.
Well, you just don't know anymore. These people are professionals at what they do.
Hmm.
I was getting emails from Morgan Stanley when they were acquiring that other brokerage. It looked legit. I went to the address bar and it was
Yeah.
pointing to Morgan Stanley, but it
Hmm.
wasn't Morgan Stanley. I don't even
Yeah.
have an account there. But this is how they do it, right? They send it to
Hmm.
everybody and they hope they hit the right person that
Hmm.
goes to that link and enters in their information. And now they got you.
Yeah.
And you can't tell the difference.
Hmm. Well, and they are targeting industries. I mean, you're a financial guy, so I'm going to send you financial sites. Surely, I'm going to learn what kind of tools you use. It doesn't take me much research to do that, and I'm going to start sending you requests from those tools, because they do the same thing to me. I'm a big target because I support other companies, so they want to get through me to my clients. Same with you. You've got a lot of personal identifiable information, PII. They want that because you've got social security numbers, you've got addresses, all the people, you're a target too.
Yep. So when we talk about password managers,
Hmm.
can you tell us what a good one is?
So a good one, it and I use Keeper. Keeper is what I use.
Okay.
And the reason I use Keeper is it has a zero trust policy. And what that means is, uh, if I were doing your IT, I can't get into your password manager and see your passwords, no matter what. It's zero trust. It trusts nobody but you. So you have to have your authentication password to get back into that thing. If you lose it, I can create a new account for you. We can go through the reset, and it'll try to do all the authentication, but I can't break into that system. I can't just simply go in and change the password and give me access to that. So that's what they say by zero trust. It means it trusts nobody, because the companies that have been compromised in the past, LastPass would be one of those. They got compromised. They had fields that were not encrypted, like the notes field. So let's say that, for convenience, you put your passport information in a notes field with your known traveler number so that you could just have it whenever you wanted to copy and paste it. Well, that was not encrypted. So they got the database, they got those kind of things, and we also had the ability to go in and reset the password. If you left the company, then we could go in and reset your password and then get into your passwords. Well, that can be bad behavior. Somebody gets the database file and they just import it, lost password, now I'm in, so
Right.
that's the kind of thing. There's another one, KeyPass. I think KeyPass is free. I'm not sure about that one. Google Chrome has a built-in password manager, and Microsoft Edge has a password manager, but they have the problem with them is when they're open, the data is encrypted. And so if you go to it's decrypted. So if you go to a website and it can get on your computer and grab information, it can grab it because all that information is decrypted while you have the browser open. Where with a password manager, that data is not open. They may steal the file, but it's an encrypted file that they can't get into.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. And well, I was going to say your previous explanation of if you have somebody that just walks up to your computer because you hit the restroom
Mm-hmm.
and they open up your browser, and if it's Chrome or Microsoft and they go to your bank information, boom, it's right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they just got all your information, and they
Mm-hmm.
could actually download your passwords right from Chrome
Yeah.
and Microsoft and put it on a thumb drive and leave
Mm-hmm.
and go back to it later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, both of those companies have made some provision for that. So now if you want to download those files, you have to provide the password to do that. So
Okay.
they did figure that out. But it's also based on timeout. So that's another free thing that you can do. When you walk away from your computer, you always lock it. You never walk away, because if you just accessed your password manager, it's got a session timeout and it hasn't timed out yet, so it's going to let you go right into it.
Great advice.
Yeah.
So if you're out and about and you're with your laptop, let's say you're at the coffee shop and you want to get up and throw away your plate of food or whatever you had, don't leave that computer on. Lock it. Even if
Mm-hmm.
you're gone for a minute, it doesn't take long.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I always lock mine even if I'm walking within sight. I could fall down. Like, oh, somebody go lock my computer, my legs hurt.
You don't look that fragile, Adam.
Yeah, I'm not ready to break a hip yet. All right.
So what's the next one?
So the next thing is so we do, that one's going to be a little bit harder for the small business to accomplish, is the third party monitoring on email. It is important for the enterprise, and that is, so we have a SOC, and I'm gonna skip that because that's outside of our audience. But a good antivirus in place on the computer. A good one to get now, which is now more available to end users or consumers, is SentinelOne. We use a different product. We've used SentinelOne in the past, but we use Deep Instinct because that's who our SOC provider uses. But SentinelOne and Cylance, it's an adaptive learning antivirus. One of the things, the way that antivirus used to work is it had a whole database of what are viruses, has a list. If I see this file, I know this file is a virus. If it's got these characteristics, this file's a virus. So that's where it used to scan your computer all the time, looking for those viruses, which you're like, oh, I hate it when the virus scan kicks off because it slows my computer down, because it truly did. Now, these adaptive antivirus, they're looking for behavior. They do have those definitions, but they're scanning new files as they come in. They're not doing periodic scans. So every time you download a file in your browser, every time you browse the internet, you don't realize it, but you're downloading files, temporary files and cookies, and it's scanning those things all the time. And then it's looking for behavior, not just what you're downloading, but it's looking for your computer to, okay, my computer has started to encrypt the hard drive. Well, that's that behavior shouldn't have happened unattended without these specific set of commands coming in them, and it stops it. It stops what was kicking off and then reverses it. So it's early in its rudimentary AI. The computer program is looking for things that shouldn't be happening and stopping those things. So even if it doesn't check home for 30 days, it doesn't have the latest virus definitions, that's okay, because it's looking for behavior. Now, obviously, you can't let it not get updates from its home base for over a year, because every agents change, the software gets updated, so it needs to be continually updated. But you need a good antivirus in place. So.
Okay. So you brought up a point why most people will not load an antivirus.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to slow down my computer.
Yeah.
Right. And I run into this. I have it because I have to. I mean,
right.
I protect my computers to the nth degree. And I honestly noticed the difference. I know because I start downloading a bunch of PDFs and I see that little icon scanning and I have to wait and I get impatient. I don't uninstall it, but
Yeah.
I mean, it does become a little frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Are these newer technologies like Sentinel-1 a little bit better at that?
Yes, they're faster. If you're using a product like McAfee or Norton, those are my least favorite programs, because they're fat. I mean, they do a lot of things. They're trying to protect users, and it's a whole balance. You hate to say users are stupid, but sometimes users make stupid decisions, and you're trying to protect them from themselves, but then they're mad because their computer's slow, so they turn it off, and now they're no longer protected. So it's the whole balance of, how about, you make good decisions and I'll keep the antivirus light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm writing stuff down here as we're talking, so I don't forget myself. Okay.
Well, another thing to do that's really important is keeping the computer up to date. Doing the Windows updates, so Adobe has a lot of updates. I'm just third-party stuff. Adobe has a lot of updates. Java has a lot of updates. Sometimes your printers and things have a lot of updates, and sometimes your operating system has updates. I mean, the hardware. So like if you have an Intel computer, it may have Intel driver updates. If you have a Dell, it will have Dell driver updates. And a lot of people will just ignore those. That's okay. Yeah. How long have you been saying okay to that? As long as I've had the computer. Well, you should read those things, and a lot of those you don't have to do at that moment, but you could like, okay, once a month on Fridays, I run all the updates that the operating or that the hardware is asking for. Let me just run those to keep the thing up to date. And a lot of times it'll make the computer perform better, as well as keep them safe. Some of the things like a laptop, you'd be surprised how a driver will make the battery life better, because sometimes they'll have a driver that is not working well, it's not charging properly, and it's got a fix, and then all of a sudden you have a longer battery life because it's sleeping properly, or it's just doing better CPU management or fan management. But then, I mean, the point of it is getting those Windows updates so that you're protected from the latest vulnerabilities on the computer. And Microsoft only releases those updates twice a month, and it's on a Tuesday. And if they just let them go on, restart your computer at the end of the day on Tuesday, make sure it doesn't go to sleep, and it'll install those things overnight.
Yeah.
It's not a burden.
And most of the updates, if you actually do open up and see what they are updating, most of it's security oriented, because they found their own vulnerabilities within their software, or they heard about it from guys out there that do nothing but want to hound Microsoft. So these are benefits to you.
Yeah.
And guess what, folks? Apple is no longer the unicorn that doesn't get hacked.
Yeah.
It's the opposite now. Apple is being hacked just as bad as Microsoft now.
Hmm.
They figured it out, folks. So just because you have an Apple does not mean you do not do updates and get security updates.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, I would say, well, and I know we're getting close on time, but I would say the other big thing, I mean, I've got a whole sheet that I go through when I go on a sales of what we need to do and what we're going to do for you as our client. But as a small business and even a consumer, the backups, making backups of your computer so that if any of these things do happen, you have a backup, and they're inexpensive today and they're easy to use. There's a Cronus. If you're using a Mac, you should use Time Machine. It's built in. You just really, if you just attach a drive to it, it'll start backing itself up.
Right.
So use those things. I'm not a great big fan of Windows backup for Windows 11 backups. I don't know. I don't like it as
Work.
well. Yeah. So there are other, Acronis, Macrium. There are a number of vendors out there that are inexpensive. Like Acronis is, I want to say $20 per year. It may be a little bit more at times, but you can find a deal. They have a cloud backup. They have a local backup. It's pretty easy.
And actually, that's what I use.
Hmm.
And most people don't know my background. This is what I used to do
Hmm.
for the enterprise customers is help them protect their data.
Hmm.
And backup is number one. And the question, why? What's the point? I'm mirroring my drives. I'm copying my drives. Okay, that's great. But if you don't have a true physical copy someplace else,
Hmm.
anything can happen.
Hmm.
And that's Murphy's Law. We all experience it. I don't care what you're in, what kind of business you're in. Murphy's Law happens.
Hmm.
Okay. Flood, water, electrical, a pet, a kid, a dog. They crash your computer. They sit on it. They spill stuff on it. It happens.
Yeah.
And now your computer's fried. Your data is gone. I don't care where you mirrored it to. Okay. This just happened to me. I had a laptop, brand new laptop, by the way, that just basically was not running. It would stop.
Hmm.
And so I was doing a Cronus and I was backing it up. I went and bought a brand new computer and I restored my data. I had everything up to the point where I stopped using
Hmm.
that laptop. Everything.
Yeah.
And backups aren't what they used to be. Backups used to take hours and hours and hours. That technology has developed now where the full backup, yes, is going to take time, but they do what's called incrementals. It's what's changed since the last time you did your backup. So it's very fast
Hmm.
and it adds it to the full. So it makes your life easier. More information than anybody ever wants to know about backup, but it's a lot easier to do. Don't shortchange yourself.
Hmm.
Back up your computer. This is your livelihood. I'm going to throw a statistic out there. I'm going to help all these backup providers. Do you know that 7 out of 10 businesses go out of business because they didn't back up their data?
Yeah, I
If
do.
they lose, yeah, you do.
Yeah.
If you lose your data and you're running a business, you're more than likely going to be out of business because you lost everything. You can't just start up again. So, FYI.
Yeah. Well, and kind of a step in that direction. So one thing that we do with our clients is we can't back up every computer. I mean, even a small business, I can't 10 computers. I can't back up all of them logistically, especially if they're moving around. You can't get them to come into the office to do their backups. With Office 365 and Google Drive, you can specify folders to keep in sync in Google Drive or OneDrive at all times. So the user may have to have their whole computer reconfigured. All the software has to be reinstalled, but they're not going to lose the data because the data is the money. I mean, that's where, everything that we need is data. The hackers want data, the marketing people want data, the managers want data. So if we can protect the data by keeping those live backups, then we're better than nothing for sure.
Yeah. So you said that was Office 365?
Hmm.
Okay. So what if the data is not in Office 365?
Well, there are also third parties like Dropbox. You can do that, where it wants to back up your documents, your pictures, your well, to do music and photos. I mean, I don't I don't store my music and things on there, but yeah, there are other parties that will also do the online backups. There are a bunch of providers. Those are the big ones.
Okay. Adam, you and I will talk about how you can do those remote and mobile backups.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, I know this is we scratched the surface, quite
Yeah.
honestly, on cybersecurity. These are the basic essentials. Would you agree?
Oh yeah. Yeah. This is not even we haven't even anteed up really.
So maybe we'll have to do a second episode on this, because this is important. And I mean, I'm looking at what I wanted to cover, and we're not even close. But in everybody's time is valuable. We know that. And that's why we try to keep these episodes a little bit shorter so you can listen on the fly, get some information, and just come back and catch another one. So we are going to close this episode down. Um, so the things that we talked about today was multi-factor authentication. Okay. Make sure you're protecting yourself from other people logging on to your applications and systems. We talked about passwords, getting a password manager. Why? Because you don't want the same password for everything that you do. These applications will protect you and they will create unique passwords that are not based on your birth date, your wedding, your kids' birthdays, and things of that nature. They're actually hard to guess. We talked about antivirus. So make sure you have a good one. He brought up Sentinel One, Adam did, that it's more efficient. It's better. It's not as hard on your computer. So take a look at it, go out there, find them, find the newest technology, and protect yourself. Updating your computer. We talked about updates. You need to do it. Most of the updates are for your protection. It's not garbage, typically, it's things to fix your system. So don't put it off. Just do it. They don't take that long anymore. Things have gotten a lot better. And of course, backups. Protect your data. If you don't protect your data, you could be out of business. 7 out of 10 will be. Did I kind of summarize enough, Adam?
I did. Yeah, you did.
Okay, Adam, thank you so much
Oh
for
yeah.
being
Thank
on
you.
this episode. It was awesome. I'm a nerd, and if everybody couldn't tell, I am a nerd. I love technology. I love talking with technology folks. I love learning from them. So, Adam, I would love to have you back.
Oh yeah. Happy to
Would you
come.
be open to that? See, I'm
Sure.
going to do it live, so you have to say yes. You can't say no. So awesome. So, Adam, if people have questions on the things that we did cover or things that we didn't cover, because obviously this is a huge topic, how could somebody get a hold of you?
Well, the easiest way is to go to our website. I've got contact me options out there. Our website is sublimecomp.com. That's sublimecomp.com. It's got phone numbers, contact forms, schedule a time with me. There's plenty of ways for them to get to me. Of course, I'm in all the other social media, LinkedIn, X.
X. Yeah, got to be on X. Awesome. Thank you very much. Everybody that's listening, if you liked this episode, please hit subscribe and you'll catch our other episodes as they come out. and you'll actually see the other episodes that we've done. If you liked what you heard, please hit that like button, and ring the bell, hit that bell thing to be notified as things change within our thing. These episodes are for you. They're not for us. We're not advertising. We're not promoting anything. We did mention some products only for your information to try to help you. This channel is for you, the business owner. It's not for us. We do this to try to help you. So we hope you enjoyed it. If there's things that you want to hear about or want to learn about, please comment. That's the only way I can create episodes for you. So again, my name is Russell Carrier. You've been listening to the Business Advocate Podcast. We appreciate you tuning in. If you want to see what our mugs look like, you can go to YouTube and search the Business Advocate Podcast, and you'll see us there shortly. Thank you very much, Adam.
Thank you for having me.
And I look forward to having you in another episode soon.
Sounds great.